He is an icon who symbolizes the struggle for freedom. His adversary represents one of the world's most despised regimes. No one suspects that these two men will meet and together end the political racist establishment known as apartheid. Their names are Nelson Mandela and Frederik Wilhelm de Klerk. We are heading to Robben Island, the infamous prison island a few kilometers from the coast of Cape Town. Many South Africans fighting for civil rights were sent here with long prison sentences. The most famous is Nelson Mandela.
This is Mandela's cell. In this cell you will see 2 mats and 3 blankets. And that orange bucket was the prison toilet.
He was imprisoned for his activism against the hard racist discrimination laws called apartheid. The word apartheid means separateness, and that was the idea, that the black and white people of South Africa should be separated. One man who lived with apartheid, though from the opposite side, is South Africa's former president, Frederik Wilhelm de Klerk, whose family belonged to the white power elite.
In my personal life as a child, we lived apart. I had black playmates, but in the evening, my black little friend would go to his home and never sleep over with me.
De Klerk was very close to his father and eventually will follow in his father's footsteps, becoming politically active in the ruling Nationalist Party, a party whose apartheid policy is facing increasingly hard resistance from the growing civil rights organization called the ANC, or African National Congress, where Mandela is one of the leaders. Soon, Mandela is arrested by the police and accused of treason. Mandela is sentenced to life in prison and is taken to Robben Island. His punishment is hard labor at the island's limestone quarry, but he never gives up, and outside the prison walls, the fight continues. And despite Mandela's isolation, his international reputation is growing, and pressure on the regime is increasing on all fronts. Inside the country, many are fearing a civil war. No one believes there will be any change when de Klerk takes over as president. But when he takes a stand in Parliament on the 2nd of February 1990, he shocks the entire world.
It is time for us to break out of the cycle of violence.
I fully realized that this speech would cause a tsunami, that South Africa would never be the same again.
In front of a stunned Parliament, de Klerk announces that large pieces of apartheid will be abolished and Nelson Mandela will be released.
There's Mr. Mandela, Mr. Nelson Mandela.
1 week later, Mandela finally walks out of prison. He then travels in a long motorcade to Cape Town and to the city's largest square.
I greet you all in the name of peace, democracy and freedom for all.
Mandela speaks of struggle and freedom, but also reconciliation and continuing work toward democracy. For their work in democracy, Mandela and de Klerk are awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. The former enemies both travel to Oslo to receive the award together.
To receive it with Mandela, I found heart-rending. He was under great pressure not to accept it with me. But he resisted that pressure from within his own ranks. And I admired him for the courage he showed in that.
1 year after the Peace Prize, South Africa holds its first free election. The ANC has a huge victory, and Mandela is chosen as South Africa's president.
I, Nelson Mandela, do hereby swear to be faithful to the Republic of South Africa.
F.W. de Klerk stands at his side as vice president. Two men who together showed that willingness to compromise and reconciliate can lead the way to peace.